What's up, guys? This is the RockJock 4x4 anti-rock rear sway bar for the 2021 and up Ford Bronco, and today we're going to show you how to install it. Let's jump into it. So the first step is taking the frame mount and attaching the bolt and getting the RockJock nut started. And it is important to note each mount is designated right hand and left hand. The right hand goes on the passenger side, left hand goes on the driver's side. And that is important because of how this is welded on here. It creates a specific angle that they want to the factory opening in the frame. Alright, so this is just going to slide in through the hole on the frame. Start tightening it down, and the RockJock nut will catch on the lip on the inside of the frame and tighten itself to it. I'll just go ahead and tighten that down with the 19mm. Then go ahead and repeat the process on the other side. Alright, so the next step, you're going to take the torsion bar and get it started up through the driver's side. And we're just going to zip tie it up to the exhaust for now, ready to go into the bracket on the passenger side. We're just going to hold it up so it's lined up, but not through the bracket yet. Alright, so now we need to take the Delrin bushing for each side. We're going to take some non-synthetic chassis grease and get it coated, both the inside and the outside. Alright, and we'll give it a couple taps with a rubber mallet. Okay, now we can take the torsion bar and get it started through that bushing. Just give it a little wiggle with the lubrication. It should slide through somewhat easily.
There you go.
Okay, now we're going to take the other Delrin bushing for the driver's side, get some chassis grease on there. And we'll put it in. Alright, so now you're going to need to either take a large socket, or in our case we're using a 1 1/4 inch piece of gas pipe to drive just the bushing and the rest of the way to the bracket. We want the torsion bar to stay pretty much where it's at. Alright, now we can go ahead and install the sway bar arm. And the end cap with the Torx bit to hold it in place. That threads right into the torsion bar. Installing the axle bracket. Again, these are marked left hand and right hand. You got to make sure they go on the right side. But the first thing you need to do is get the brake line up and out of the way. And make sure to save this bolt. We're going to reuse it. There's just a little spacer that moves it. And next we need to loosen up the wire harness.
Sounds like you got some dirt in there that just blew in my face.
Sorry, babe.
I hope you could see that in the camera too.
Out of the way for now. This little hook is going to hook into this slot and rest across the top of the axle tube. That's why this one's got to get moved. There we go. Then you're going to take your U-bolt. Get it started. Take the nuts and get them just started hand tight.
Secure your nuts in place.
Definitely want to secure your nuts. Oh, my neck is cramping.
Runaway tools.
We're going to take the factory bolt from the brake line and use that to secure the new RockJock extension bracket. Hope if I have the socket going the right way. And on this side specifically, you need to take the spacer that comes from RockJock and get that situated between the brake line bracket and the extension. And then you're going to use the new 13mm bolt supplied by RockJock to mount the brake line back onto the new bracket. That should keep that safe. Now we'll take the 9/16 and tighten the bolts down on the U-bolt. We want to do this slowly, a couple turns on each one at a time. We want to make sure that it's tightening evenly. And the goal is to try and get as close to as many threads coming out of the side evenly on each side as possible. Go ahead and zip tie the wires up, make sure they stay out of the way of the links. It's just to keep them safe. All right, and then you want to go ahead and repeat the same process on the other side. We did that one first just to save you guys viewing time, but it's essentially the same thing. The only difference is the bracket for the extension for the brake line is square instead of having an L bend to it. But it's the same idea, zip tying the wires out of the way and tightening down the U-bolt. All right, now it's time to install the sway bar end links. It comes with a double-ended stud. One side is reverse threaded, so be cautious of that when you're putting it together. RockJock recommends starting at 7 inches center to center, so that's going to be our starting point. Looks like we're pretty close. Right there. Alright, now it's time to install the end links. On the bottom side, the axle side, they will point inwards, and on the upper side, they will point out towards the tire. And then you'll need to take either an Allen key or an arc. We have just a bit. Stick it in the end link. I will say a ratcheting 18mm would work a lot better for this. Apparently that's the one size ratcheting wrench that I don't have. Alright, now it's time to tighten down the bolts that hold the arm onto the torsion bar. It's important for them to go up. Alright, so the last little bit of installation is making sure that there's not any preloaded tension. And so we're just going to loosen these up since we have the lift kit on ours. Alrighty, that's it. Alright, so once you got the kit installed, what can you expect? If you have a 2022 and up Ford Bronco, you have a factory rear sway bar that really hinders the performance of your rear suspension. So getting rid of that and switching over to this system is going to free up your rear axle a ton. I don't have a metric to give you for that because we don't have any factory rear sway bar, but I was actually expecting to lose a little bit of articulation because we don't have a factory rear sway bar. And our front has been disconnected for over 1.5 years, and we did. But we just got back from Tom at Automotive Solutions. We put it back on the forklift with no sway bars whatsoever. With the Rock Crawler Pro X triangulated 4-link in the back, we had 30 inches of flex. That's with the forklift. With the AntiRock system installed, that number was 28. So we did lose 2 inches of articulation out of the rear axle, but the amount of body roll that we are reducing is worth it to me, in my opinion. I have 2 inches of flex to give up. This thing's pretty flexy already. To reduce the amount of body roll that we had, not on the highway so much, but when we were off-roading, especially with the rooftop tent on there, and I'll put a clip in there of what I'm talking about, we noticed that the body had more roll even though the tires were staying more planted. So getting that dialed back is worth losing the 2 inches of articulation to me. But you'll have to put that under your personal discretion if you're not running a factory sway bar if it's worth losing that little bit to you for a little bit more stability, I'm not upset. So that's all for today. If you haven't done so, hit the like button. It helps us grow the channel. If you have any comments or questions, leave those down below. I will gladly answer them or respond to them. And also hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that. We got a lot of stuff coming up, including a trip to the Rubicon, and you're not going to want to miss that. So until the next adventure,